Okay, so get ready for this one, because we are going deep on this deep dive.
Yeah, this one is out there.
We're talking deep, deep, deep. We've got one source for you today. One document.
Oh, what a document it is.
It's called, get this, Pro Ect Orion 1983 Archive KGB.PDF.
Catchy, right?
Super catchy. I mean, right off the bat.
Sound like a spy thriller.
It sounds like, yeah, like a Cold War spy thriller or something like that. And what it seems to be is a declassified Soviet KGB file.
Which, by the way, is interesting in and of itself. The fact that this even exists is pretty remarkable. We're talking about a document that was at one point considered so sensitive, so potentially disruptive, that it was literally locked away in the bowels of the Soviet intelligence apparatus.
Yeah, so let's jump right into it, because, I mean, I don't even know where to start.
Well, the document itself is pretty straightforward, at least in terms of how it's structured. It's a translated scientific analysis of UNRB materials.
Okay, hold on. Time out. UNRB materials. Now, for those of us who aren't, experts in obscure Nazi research groups.
Right. So the UNRB was this Nazi research institute, and they were known for dabbling in some pretty fringe occult stuff. We're talking about things like trying to find evidence for Atlantis or searching for the Holy Grail, that kind of thing.
So we got Nazi occult research in the hands of the Soviet KGB. It's like a mashup of like Indiana Jones and a Cold War thriller.
Exactly. And it gets even better. This document, it's marked top secret in Russian. It's got the official emblem of the Soviet Union stamped on it, even a case number, 52609.
Official. Very official.
But here's the real kicker. Handwritten notes in English throughout the whole thing. And some of them are hilarious. Like next to this one paragraph about, I think it was about telepathic Yeti or something, someone just wrote in big capital letters, nonsense.
You've got to be kidding me.
I'm serious. It's like someone was fact-checking this document with a healthy dose of sarcasm.
I love it. Okay, so we've got this super secret Soviet document analyzing Nazi occult research with some mystery note-taker throwing shade in the margins. What in the name of all that is holy is this document actually about?
Well, in a nutshell, it claims that Earth has been hit by catastrophic floods throughout its history. And get this, they say it's all caused by this thing they call the Iron Planet.
The Iron Planet. Okay, so elaborate on that.
So picture this. A celestial body, 50 times larger than Earth, swinging through our solar system every 3,600 years, causing absolute chaos.
Hold on. 50 times larger than Earth.
50 times larger.
That's bigger than Jupiter.
It's massive, and according to this document, it's on a fixed orbit, swinging through our little corner of the galaxy like clockwork, and every time it does, well, let's just say it doesn't end well for Earth.
Okay, so I'm already having trouble wrapping my head around the whole planet bigger than Jupiter just casually swinging by thing, but let's go with it. What kind of chaos are we talking about here?
Well, for starters, massive floods, like biblical level floods. They even did the math. The document gives calculations for its orbital velocity, putting it at about 3 kilometers per second.
3 kilometers per second. So that's, what is that, like 6,000 miles per hour?
Something like that. Way too fast for something that massive. If this iron planet actually existed, its gravitational effects on Earth would be getting, well, let's just say we definitely notice.
Right, we're talking earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis, the whole shebang.
Oh, absolutely. But it goes beyond that. The document claims that this iron planet is also responsible for the rise and fall of ancient civilizations.
Okay, now we're getting into some real fringe territory.
Oh, we're just getting started.
Shit me.
So they talk about these civilizations like Lemuria and Atlantis, and they claim that these civilizations were founded by these gods from Venus.
Gods from Venus, as in, like, the planet Venus.
That's right. And these gods, they weren't just friendly extraterrestrial tourists. They were these super advanced beings with technology that makes our stuff look like stone tools.
Okay, so we've got a rogue planet, ancient aliens, and now we're throwing in some ancient astronauts, too.
Don't forget the telepathic Yetis. But seriously, this document really goes off the deep end with this stuff.
It's like they took every conspiracy theory ever and just mashed it all up into one big, beautiful, bonkers document.
That's a pretty good way to put it, actually. But here's the thing. It's incredibly detailed. They've got timelines, diagrams, calculations, the whole 9 yards. They even have this whole timeline of human evolution, starting with an etheric race of angels 350 million years ago.
350 million years. Dinosaurs weren't even a thing back then.
Exactly. It's like they just threw out everything we know about history, geology, even basic physics, and just made up their own version of reality.
All right, so this is either the most elaborate hoax of all time,
Or
we're about to go down a very, very deep rabbit hole.
buckle up.
I'm ready to dive in. Where do we even start with all of this?
Well, let's talk about the iron planet itself. The document claims it has a 3,600-year orbit.
3,600 years, so.
And if their timeline is right,
The last time it swung by Earth was around 1586 BC.
right, they actually link the iron planet to the biblical flood.
Hold on. Are you saying Noah's Ark was real?
Whoa, hold your horses. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this document links the iron planet to the flood described in the Bible, which it places around 1586 BC.
Okay, so if it has a 3,600-year orbit and last showed up in 1586 BC,
Do the math.
it should have come back
Yeah,
around 2014.
yeah, which is interesting, right?
Interesting is one word for it. Another word is nope, didn't happen.
Well, not that we know of anyway.
So what, are we off the hook? Is this whole thing just a product of Cold War paranoia and too much vodka?
Not so fast. The document emphasizes how difficult it is to predict the exact movements of this iron planet, even with their calculations.
Okay, so you're saying it could be a cosmic traffic jam.
More like a cosmic pool table with a bunch of unseen gravitational forces at play, even a slight variation in its trajectory, a little nudge here or there.
It could throw off the whole schedule.
Exactly. It could arrive earlier or later than expected.
So you're saying there's a chance, however small, that this thing is still out there, just lurking in the cosmic shadows, waiting to make a grand entrance.
Look, I'm not saying we should panic,
Good, because I'm fresh out of canned goods.
but based on this document alone, we can't completely rule out that possibility, however remote. Now, it's important to note, modern science, we haven't found anything out there that matches the description of this iron planet.
Which makes sense, right? I mean, if there was a planet-sized object barreling towards us, astronomers would have spotted it by now.
You'd think so, right? But then again, space is huge, and our understanding of it is constantly evolving. We're still finding new planets, new galaxies all the time. There's still so much we don't know about what's hiding out there in the vastness of space.
Okay. So we've got this hypothetical rogue planet potentially messing with our planetary mechanics. But what about the more, shall we say, immediate threats this document mentions?
Immediate threats.
You know, like the earthquakes, the volcanic eruptions, all that fun stuff. Should we be digging bunkers in our backyards?
The document definitely plays up the whole doomsday scenario. They depict those events, the earthquakes, the volcanic activity, even extreme weather events, as precursors to the iron planet's arrival.
Like warning signs, harbingers of doom.
Exactly. And they point to real-world events happening in 1983 to support their claims.
Really? Like what?
For example, there were a series of incidents in 1983 in the Soviet Union where metal structures just collapsed. Bridges, buildings, even some industrial equipment just suddenly buckled and gave way.
Just out of the blue. No explanation.
Well, their explanation was the iron planet. They attributed these collapses to the planet's influence, even from a distance.
So they're saying this iron planet is messing with our planet's magnetic field from light years away.
That's the gist of it. They claimed that the planet's intense electromagnetic field was somehow weakening metal structures on Earth, making them more prone to collapse.
Now, that is both fascinating and terrifying.
Right. I mean, on the one hand, it sounds like something straight out of a science fiction movie, but on the other hand,
It makes you wonder if there's something to it.
exactly. And here's the thing. This document isn't just some fringe theory scribbled on a napkin. It was taken seriously enough by the Soviet government to be translated, analyzed, and locked away in their most secret archives.
So what you're saying, there might be something to all of this doomsday planet, the ancient civilizations, the whole shebang?
I'm not saying that, but I am saying it's worth taking a closer look. I mean, we've only scratched the surface of this document. There are still so many unanswered questions, like, what about the U.S.? What was their take on all of this?
Good point. They mentioned the U.S. in here, right?
Yeah.
Something about a top-secret base in Alaska. Yeah, Project Argon. Sounds like something out of a superhero movie, right?
Right, except in this case, the superheroes are, well, Soviet bureaucrats preparing for the apocalypse.
So spill the beans. What was Project Argon all about?
Well, from what I can gather, it seems like it was the U.S. government's answer to the whole Iron Planet situation. According to this document, they were building this top-secret base in Alaska. The purpose: to protect key personnel and resources in case of a cataclysmic event.
Key personnel. So we're talking politicians, scientists, military leaders, that sort of thing.
Presumably. The document doesn't get into specifics, but it does suggest that they were planning for the long game. They weren't just thinking about surviving the initial disaster. They were thinking about how to rebuild, how to ensure the continuity of government, even suggesting the creation of a new society after the cataclysm.
A new society, like a whole new world order.
It's not clear. The document is pretty vague on the details, but it definitely hints at the possibility of a major societal shift in the wake of a global catastrophe.
Okay, so that's the U.S. side of things. What about the Soviets? Were they building their own doomsday bunkers?
The document is a bit vague on the specifics of the Soviet response, but it's clear that they were just as concerned about this iron planet as the Americans were. They had their own research programs, their own contingency plans.
Any telepathic Yeti research programs?
The document doesn't say. But seriously, they did seem particularly focused on resource management and developing technologies that might be able to, I don't know, maybe deflect the iron planet or at least lessen its impact.
So we've got dueling doomsday preppers, a cosmic wild card in the form of a rogue planet. What a time to be alive, right? But seriously, where does this all leave us? What are we supposed to make of all this talk about ancient civilizations, rogue planets, and Cold War conspiracies?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, on the surface, this document is, well, it's pretty out there.
That's one way to put it.
But on a deeper level, it raises some really interesting questions about our place in the cosmos, about the nature of history, even about the limits of our own knowledge. We tend to think of ourselves, humanity, as being at the pinnacle of existence, but this document, as wild as it is, suggests that maybe, just maybe, we're not the first and we might not be the last.
So what you're saying is there's more to the story than meets the eye.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe one day we'll uncover concrete evidence of this iron planet or these long-lost civilizations, but until then, they serve as a reminder to stay curious, to keep asking questions, and to never, ever underestimate the power of a good mystery.
Well said. A good mystery, a healthy dose of skepticism, and maybe a sturdy umbrella for those cosmic showers.
You got it.
That's all the time we have for today, folks. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the weird, the wild, and the wonderfully unexplained. Until next time, keep your eyes on the skies and your minds open.
I would have been on top of the charts, but it's politics. You do some gimmick shit and post, you get a lot of clicks. Drop some real shit and they probably won't acknowledge you.